not to harp on this, but to have all of that success. It's funny because when you brought up Knocked Up, your character, there were so many original takes in that movie, and the way that your character talks to Leslie Mann, you know, and the way you talk about women's pregnancies and things, and it was so, it's funny because I found you to be really charming, and it's right on the edge of very inappropriate and creepy, but I still was delighted by your character. Yeah. And also I could see the women not being sure, like, he's on the line, but he's also strangely comforting and lovely.
You found my secret weapon. It's that, like, I can walk the line between charming and creepy and, like, somehow land in charming. And we try to, like, I'm doing this new show, and we tried to, like, utilize that because it's a guy going through a breakdown. This is not a segue, but we're trying, this guy's going through a breakdown, and he's still practicing therapy on people. And I said to them at the beginning, like, make him, you can push him into unlikability. I'm like pretty confident I can land him back in likable. It's fun. It's fun to get pretty close to creepy.
You brought this up, and I want to talk about it because you're playing a shrink. You're playing as, and the show is called Shrinking.
Shrinking, yeah.
And what I've understood about the show so far is that you're doing the one thing that a shrink is not supposed to do, which is because of your breakdown, you're telling your clients, you're telling the people that you're treating exactly what they should do, as opposed to the classic, tell me how you're feeling, what do you think you should do?
Yeah, this kind of exercise in keeping somebody in therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Endlessly, like, tell me your problem, and we'll just kind of pontificate on it. There's a scene where I'm with Harrison Ford, and we have this conversation that I think is really true. It's, like, true when you're talking to a friend, too, who's, like, dating somebody terrible, and you can see so clearly that they're terrible. You know, like, just break up with the guy. You know, you can say it as a friend. But in therapists, I'm sure, having that same experience, like, oh, I know how to handle this. Like, I could solve this like that. And so he just starts doing it to varying degrees of success and failure.
What made you, because you obviously have a lot of clout and time, you can pick what you want to do. What made you say, this is it? Because was it some of it your struggle, or no, I wouldn't say struggle because everyone goes through it, but your own relationship to I Want to Be Happy that made you interested in playing a psychiatrist?
Yeah, I think it was that. And also, after How I Met Your Mother ended and I did like a string of romantic comedies, I hit this period where, like I said, I realized I wasn't whatever everyone was telling me I had one life. I didn't feel that way. I was trying to figure it out. So then I started doing some dramas. I did a movie called End of the Tour that you and I talked about on your show once, and I did a few others. And I delved pretty hard into drama and got, I like to think, pretty good at it. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, but you're also weird and funny. Like, you're not supposed to just throw that part out. And so then I got this call from Bill Lawrence out of the blue saying, hey, I'd like to make a show together. And when he and Brett Goldstein pitched me that, it felt like the end of an M. Night Shyamalan movie when it all makes sense. Because it's a drama and a comedy kind of mushed together. This guy's going through the death of his wife and his own nervous breakdown, but at the same time, it has like big set comedy pieces. And I felt like, oh, if I'm going to do comedies again, this is how to do it.
You know, I do love that we're in this era. It used to be, remember that, was it like a fast food sandwich? I don't know if it was the Quarter Pounder or something, but they said we keep the cold and the hot.
That's the McDLT, bro. Yeah, come on, man.
Bro. I'm sorry.
Get with it, dog.
McDLT.
That's the McDLT, bro.
Wow. Okay, why did everyone?
You both knew that.
Why
right
did you both?
away.
You both jump down my throat.
Yeah, because every American should know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was Canadian.
Yeah.
And came here a few years ago.
I didn't know that either, Conan, if it makes you feel better.
Yeah, and you are the queen of fast food.
Yes, I am.
You are.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm not from this country, so it
No.
makes sense
Oh,
that
God,
I
I
don't.
would never do that. That's terrible.
For sure.
Terrible. You're from
I almost said
the island of Altadena. But anyway, a storm-scarred island. But anyway, the whole idea is like the tomatoes and the lettuce are kept cold. And
we know how it works.
No, excuse me. God, it got hostile in here.
Yeah.
Anywho, the analogy I was trying to make is that there used to be an era where there's comedy and then there's drama and never the twain shall meet. I started recently as an exercise. I don't know what came over me, but it was around the holidays. I thought, I want to start rewatching The Sopranos because I watched it when it was originally on, but I want to see it again and try and figure out what made it so groundbreaking at the time. And one of the things that really hits me hard is it is so dramatic, but also so funny, and you never know which is coming.
Yeah.
And the comedy is really very funny. They don't indicate the comedy too much, but the characters are absurd, and some of the situations are absolutely laugh out loud, insane. And then, of course, it gets extremely heavy. And I like that we live in this era where the two coexist. You can make a show that is, I'm thinking of like a show like Severance, where there are times where I'm really laughing, and then it couldn't be more deadly serious. I like that we're now in that world where that's allowed.
Yeah, I feel like prime James Brooks was that very much. Broadcast news, to me, it's like a perfect movie. And even within one scene, Albert Brooks is like imploring Holly Hunter to see how much he loves her and to recognize it. And then it's filled with like comedic assassination punchlines, you know?
Yeah.
To me, that's always been the sweet spot.
Yeah, and almost impossible to hit.
Judd told me when I was writing for Eating Sarah Marshall, I asked him, because I pitched it to him first, and he said, this is a really good idea. My advice to you is write a drama. Because of the way you see the world, this thing is going to end up funny. Even in the way you're describing it, it's going to be funny. Write a drama. That's what's going to keep people interested. And if we need to layer jokes on top, we will. And I think that that's true. Like, I see the world funny. Even when I'm like having tough moments, like even when I'm getting dumped naked, I'm like, God damn it, this is funny.
Right.
And
you can step outside yourself, see the silliness of it, and say, I'm going to record this for later.
Yeah. Well, and I try to experience it that way too, because I don't know. Otherwise, there's a version of life being a real bummer. I mean, life's hard, so finding the fun stuff is important.
I agree. I think, I don't think a day goes by when I don't realize that, I'm using my sense of humor to cope. It is not my profession. It's actually just my coping mechanism that I somehow, in a Houdini-like manner, figured out a way to get paid for my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Which for most people is like getting paid to drink.
Totally.
It's like,
totally.